friend, Erin here, and I am doing freezer meal prep today. I know we've done a lot of the kids cooking lessons in the last couple of weeks, but today, here this weekend, we are doing this social distancing freezer meal plan. It has been a hot minute since I have done a live freezer meal prep session. What that means is that I am going to prepare 10 meals right now to put into my freezer in what I hope should be an hour's time. That is our goal with my Freeze Easy, which is my freezer meal plan program, software, strategy, all of the above. I want to help make dinner easy and fast for you. And the reason that I'm doing this today, I had thought about doing this 2 weeks ago, right? When the whole social distancing thing came out, I had asked you guys if you wanted something like this. And the big answer was yes. We're here now because I didn't want to do this when you couldn't find the meat you needed. And I think the supply chains at grocery stores are starting to kind of shake back out to maybe more normal level. I had no problem finding the meat that I needed for this morning when I went to the store yesterday. So that's one of the reasons that I waited. The other reason is that we were having so much fun with the kids cooking lessons that we just continued on with those. But today I want to show you how to do 10 meals prepared and into your freezer in about an hour's time. It might take a little longer because sometimes I get chatty and I'll get to teaching and I want to answer your questions. But if you want to download this link is, it has this download available. That's like a free sample. We do have a member program. We do not offer a trial. This is the closest thing to a trial that we have available. So I would love for you to understand how this works. So we're going to go through it here today. And I want you to download this if you wanted to make this same exact set of meals that you could so you could either cook alongside me, watch this later and cook alongside with me, or you can download this and make it whenever you're ready to, next weekend or sometime this week or whatever. The reason that I think freezer meals are super crucial right now is because I'm a food blogger. I love to cook. I love to feed my people. I do not mind cooking. I'm very confident in the kitchen. I'm very well versed in how all of this works. But let me tell you that cooking and cleaning up 3 times a day is a lot. So why we're doing you hit me up with some hearts and likes if you agree, because it's a lot. Eating at home every single meal of the day is a lot. And yes, I know there's takeout options and you can go, have food delivered and things like that. But we're still eating at home more than we are doing kind of the takeout deal, right? So I think that freezer meals, for me anyways, in the next however many weeks, months, whatnot, they are going to be for the nights that I don't feel like cooking, for the nights that maybe we would have gone out to dinner. I'll put a tray in the oven that we're going to do here. I will drop something into the slow cooker so that I'm still cooking. We're still eating at home, but we've heard this time and time again, that this sort of style of quick to prep, quick to cook works really, really well. And that you don't feel like you're cooking. So that's what I want to show you today. So here's what you want to download. I've got the link in the comments. I've also got the link here on the video. We are doing this set of recipes: taco soup, Baja shredded chicken tacos, pepperoni pizza pasta bake, black bean quesadilla filling. We're just going to freeze the filling. We're not going to make the quesadillas and freeze them. And the chicken and brown rice. So we're going to go through that. I want you to download this. I'm going to show you my shopping list. The reason I'm showing you my shopping list is because I had a lot of these things already. We picked these meals strategically because they have a lot of pantry things in your spices, although I needed onion powder. I never did find pepperonis. I'll have to add those later, and I'll make a note on my bag. I actually had lemon juice, but I thought I needed it. All the things I crossed out are things that I already had. I already had pizza sauce. I already had marinara sauce. I already had, broth in cans. I had some of my black beans, but I needed to get more. I didn't stock up enough on those. And then I needed to get the meat. So that's, I wanted to show you that so you could see that very pantry staple friendly ingredients. So you probably already have some of these in your pantry from maybe a stock up that you did a week or two ago. So let me walk you through what we're going to do first. What we're going to do, and this is all included in your plan. All included in the plan that I have available for you. We are going to brown ground beef for 2 different meals. We're going to cook pasta. These are pretty much the only 2 pre-cooking things that ever happen in a My Freeze Easy plan. The browning of the ground beef needs to happen before it can be frozen, and then pasta should be cooked before it's frozen as well. And then you see we're opening a bunch of cans. If you're thinking, where are the vegetables? They're going to be our side dishes. We're going to make those later depending on whatever we have, depending on when I was last at the store with fresh produce, or we've got some options in the freezer, broccoli, cauliflower. What else do we have in there right now? Green beans. And I'm also going to show you how to stack these well. My freezer's already pretty full, and we're going to have to get real creative in getting these into the freezer. So we're going to jump right in. I'm going to start with the pasta water. So I'm going to get that good and hot. And then I'm going to do next is I'm going to add all the ground beef. And you're going to have to kind of watch from this angle for a minute, and then I'll switch over to a top angle from on my countertop so that you can see what we have happening once we get to that point. But first, I need the stove cut. So while that water is warming up, I'm going to add some ground beef. I actually have 2. We had a little miscommunication yesterday. My son thought he was using this ground beef, but I was using this ground beef for today. So, trash can. Get it out, put it right next to you because you're going to be dropping some things in there. Yay, Michelle, we love carbo soup. If you have any questions, drop them into the comments and I'll do my best to track along as we go. So we need to start this pre-cooking first. The way that we design our freezer meal plans is that you do the things that take the longest first. We actually order them in our software so that you're not like 20 minutes in and you're like, oh, I was supposed to do the ground beef. So we're going to tell you to do that first. So I have here, I'm going to add a little salt to this water. We're going to use this to cook 2 bags of penne pasta. I think that the recipe might say elbow, but these will work too. So this pasta is going to be for 2 trays of the pepperoni pizza pasta bake. So I'm going to cook the pasta, mix up the sauce, and then I'm going to have to add the pepperoni and mozzarella cheese right before I cook it, which is fine to do. I'll just make a little note on the top so that I don't forget, because I couldn't find either of those things at the store yesterday. So we're going to get that going. And then I'm going to start on the ground beef. I have 2 packages here. The other one's over here thawing out. So I'm going to do all 4 pounds together in the same pot, and I have a couple of tricks to share with you for this. So when doing it this way, you are going to, let me throw this out and wash up real quick. We're going to season it all together, and then I'm going to add a little bit of water because we're doing so much in the pot. I don't want any of it to get too kind of crusty on the bottom. So we're going to do that just to keep anything from kind of going wrong while we're working on some of these other things. If we haven't met yet, and you haven't, read too much about what we're up to and whatnot, I am an efficiency person, nut. I like things to be very efficient, so that's why we order these in this way. I don't want you to get into the process and then you have to kind of backtrack because that's wasteful of your time. And I don't have time to waste time, and I know you don't have time to waste time. Even right now, when we have all the time in the world, we still don't have time to waste time. Did you know? You guys, this is a new kind of busy. My 7-year-old had more Zoom calls the other day than I did. I don't know what's happening in this world, but we had 5 or 6 virtual play dates and 4 teacher meetings. It's nuts. They have more calls than I do. So get this going. I'm going to break up this meat. I like to use my chopster. I'm gonna break this meat up and add a little bit of water, and then I'll add the seasonings. Again, the water is just because this is going to take about 20 minutes probably to brown all 4 pounds of this through. And I don't want to, oh, I took away all the cups. Measuring cup. I took away all the cups because there were like mountains of cups, and I switched everybody, you can see right here, to water bottles. So I'm going to just add a little hot water, maybe about a half a cup or so. And again, that's just to keep any meat that gets kind of stuck on the bottom. We don't want that to get too crusty on the bottom. So we're going to now add seasoning. I'm going to do, my ratio is 1 tablespoon of dried onion and 1 teaspoon of garlic powder per pound. So I'm just going to kind of toss that in and mix it up with everything else that's already here. I'm just measuring with my palm because I've done this a bajillion times and I know about how much is a tablespoon, but you can measure if you'd like. This is just my sort of recipe ratio, if you will, for perfectly seasoned ground beef. In both recipes that we're making today with this ground beef, we'll take the onion and garlic will work just fine. So let me mix that through, and then we'll kind of move on to the next steps while this water comes to a boil and this starts to kind of warm up. This meat we'll have to check on a few times, but the only thing left right now for us to do is open up some cans and drain a few things, so that shouldn't take very long at all. So I'll kind of be stepping back and forth between opening up other ingredients and checking in on this ground beef. All right, I'll just leave that right there. Any questions so far? Holla, let me know. Let me give you a quick rundown before I jump into the cans. The way that we do, I told you I was an efficiency nerd. The way that we do the freezer meal plans is we prep all the ingredients, and then once all the ingredients are prepped, we go through and make up the meals. So we'll do tray meals and the bag meals. We will do that in kind of phase 2, if you will. So phase 1 is going to be preparing the ingredients, cooking the pasta, browning the ground beef. There's Tyler. And what'd you make for lunch today?
Grilled cheese.
Grilled cheese. Yeah, our kids' cooking lessons were working, guys. He made grilled cheese for himself and for Austin for lunch today. It was fantastic. Okay, so he did that lesson with me last week, and then he wanted to do it again for lunch today. So love that. So the ingredient prep for this particular set of recipes is brown the ground beef, cook the pasta, and then open up all the cans. Again, we don't have any veggie prep for this one because we specifically chose recipes that have pantry friendly ingredients in them so that you wouldn't have to buy as much from the store. You probably already stocked up on some of these pretty common ingredients. So let's see here. Let me flip the camera around, and I hope it doesn't jump. Yesterday it was jumping a little bit. I hope it doesn't jump too much today. Let me move all these things out of the way. I have my computer on the counter. It's very strange to move it over here. Alrighty, so here is what we are working through. I showed you this. Oh, it's gonna jump. Oh, this is what we're working through. So I've already started the top couple things on our list, and the next thing that we need to do is opening cans of tomatoes. So I'm going to open this. Actually, I'm going to have to do a little bit of improvising as well versus the specific ingredients that are on the sheet here. I have some crushed tomatoes that I'm going to mix in with some marinara sauce. So I'm kind of like making it work the best I can here. And these are our handy bag holders that are going to hold the bags open when we go to filling them up here in a little bit. So pasta is almost ready to be tossed in. And then we're going to start opening these cans. I have a lot of things you can see already kind of set out on the counter. What I typically do is I'll shop the night before and kind of leave everything that's shelf stable on here and then put everything together into the fridge, sometimes into one of the produce drawers, sometimes into just the bottom section of the fridge. So everything is real close together. It's real easy for me to pull the items out. when I am coming to make the meal. So I'm going to actually drop this pasta into here real quick. It is going. Again, keep your trash can right here. That's why I get the trash can out and sticker right by my knee. Okay, that pasta is going to be for the pizza, the pepperoni pizza bake. All right, let me stir that through. And then we'll get to the cans. Once we're done with ingredient prep, then we can go on to phase 2, which is preparing all of the ingredients. So I need to open and drain 2 cans of corn. One of them had a pop top and one of them has a, oh, it's doing that thing again, you guys, I'm sorry. I might have to switch and angle my computer down. Let's see how this goes. I was hoping not to have to do that, but I can. This corn we're going to use for the beef and black, oh my gosh, the black bean and corn quesadillas, sorry. We're going to use that for that recipe. The next thing that we're going to open is I'm going to open this. This is actually diced tomatoes with green chili. And I'm going to open a tomato sauce. I'm having to do a little improvising here with our diced tomatoes, but this is what I'm going to be working with here. Okay, so that's that. Next, we need to open the 4 cans of black beans. These are actually going to be used for, actually, I think the black bean quesadillas do not have corn. I think I misspoke. I'm sorry. Let me reference my recipe really quick. I think the black bean quesadillas are just black beans and it's number 4. Just a second. It's right here. It's stuck. Their pages are stuck together. Oh, it is corn. Yeah, that's what I thought. Okay. Alrighty. And then we have black beans. I was thinking, wait, no, you know what? We need 2 more cans of corn. I can read because there says 2 more cans of corn right here. Getting ahead of myself. I'm confusing myself. Okay. I wasn't following my own directions. I was trying to do it in my head when I really, that's why we print these out so we can reference them. All right, so we are short 1 can of corn, which is fine. I will just improvise with the ones that we have. And these black beans, I am going to run them through a colander just to get them nice and I guess clean, if you will, because these are going to be the inside of a quesadilla and we don't want too many juices, if you will. We learned how to make quesadillas last week on the kids' cooking lessons. So if you want to know about how to do quesadillas in bulk in the oven versus quesadillas on the skillet and stovetop, you can go watch that lesson here on the Facebook page. We have a playlist for those lessons. If you just go under the videos tab, you'll see a playlist for the kids cooking. So I've opened or poured all 4 cans of black beans into the strainer, and I'm going to just rinse them off real quick, and then I'm going to check on the beef. There, let's switch back since now I'm over here. I feel like it's strange when you see a video and you're just like staring at the countertop. Let me just rinse these off. I'll just let them sit here for a minute. You can kind of wait till the water underneath runs clear. Okay. Let those drain out there, and then let me stir this through real quick. I can already hear it sizzling on the bottom. I might need to add a little bit more water. Oh, it might be okay. Well, maybe not. I might need to add a touch more water. You can hear that? Can you hear that? I like to add a little water when I'm doing lots of ground beef. This is 4 pounds in this pot. Just it takes a little bit longer to brown, so we don't want it to get too... Okay. That was probably another third cup or so of water. It's all going to evaporate off here, so it's not going to change the consistency of the meat as it's cooking. It's just going to help it keep from browning too much. Okay. Let me give this a stir while I'm here. The pasta. So the pasta I'm going to also drain and then pour. I'll probably pour this pasta right into my trays. I use disposable trays. If you want to use another type of casserole dish to freeze, then that's totally fine too. It's up to you. Michelle, I love that. Freezer meals are so perfect, and now is a great time to be learning how this all works, which is why I want to be doing this with you right now. Okay, so the last thing I also do not have green chilies. I thought I had some and I got home and they weren't there. So there's actually green chilies in one of these, and we're using salsa too, so I think it's all going to work out. And I can always add them in at the time of cooking as well. So I think that means that all of our ingredients are prepped, minus what we have finishing cooking over here. So what we're going to do next, let me show you how this works here on the paper. Look at my cute little picture. Why did it get so small? Huh. Look at, he got so tiny. This is supposed to be bigger so you know what's going on. Okay. Well, whatever. I'll just put him right here in the bottom. Sorry. Okay. This is what happens when you're producing these things by yourself in your own kitchen. All right. So now that we've kind of made it through this list, this is the pre-cooking list. Sorry. Ugh, stop jumping. I'm not sure why that happens. All right, enough of that guy. Now that we have gotten through this list, okay, this is phase 1. This is getting the ingredients ready, which we're not completely through because the beef and the pasta are still cooking, but we're done with the rest of the list. Okay. The next thing we're going to do is go through this. Now, this is a bulleted list of the things that need to be put together into the bag or the tray. So we have one tray recipe, which is this one here, and that's the pizza pasta bake. And that we're going to make into my disposable dishes, whichever casserole dish you want to use. The rest of these we're going to put into baggies that we will flat freeze into the freezer just to save a little bit of space. If you are low on space, I still recommend doing 10 of these at a time, and you could put 5 to cook this week into your fridge and the other 5 to be frozen to make in future weeks. So you could do it that way where you're it's more of a prep and make them throughout the week versus prep and put them all in the freezer and then make them when you need to. Let me try this again. God, I don't know why he's behaving like this. Okay, my little camera with a heartbeat. We'll switch back. I think what I'm going to do is just like angle this way. Is that okay like that? Is this okay? It's not perfect, but it's going to have to do, I think. Now you can see what's happening on the stovetop. Well, I'll just do this for now, and then I'll prep everything right here so you can see it a little bit better. I was trying to avoid the glare from the doors back here, but that's okay. Is that okay, you guys? Hit me up with some likes and hearts if that's okay. So we have 2 of these to go with our pasta bake. And then we have all of these to go with the other meals. So we're going to get going with that as soon as this is done. This pasta is looking pretty good. We want to cook this to al dente because when we do warm it up later, there's going to be a little bit of liquid in the sauce that we can work with. And of course, it's going to be warmed through in the oven. This is a bake, so you'll thaw it and then cook it in the oven later. And I'll walk you through all the how to cook steps when we get closer to the end. But for now, I want to show you the ingredient prep and the meal prep and how that happens. Let me give this a good turn over here too. This is almost done. I say 3 to 5 more minutes right here. Okay, so we are just about done with the ingredient prep phase of a My Freeze plan, which is what you see right here. And then we are going to move on to phase 2, which is this. Sorry, I had these upside down the other way for the other camera, and now I have to switch them. Now we're going to go through this particular bullet list. If you wonder what I'm holding up, you can download it. It's part of our free download. This is our social distancing freezer meal plan using pantry staple ingredients that you might already have. You might need to go grab some meat, maybe a few other things at the store. So that's what we're working through. You can download that for free. The link is here on the video as well. We also have the link to where to order our handy dandy bag holders from our shop. We have these available as well. Right now, we'll mail them to you. So let's drain this pasta. Here, I'm going to switch this back because it feels like I'm a headless person. Okay, let's switch this back. We're going to drain this pasta and then finish with this ground beef, and then we'll be ready to assemble meals. About 30 minutes, that's about right. So it takes about 30 minutes for the ingredient prep and then 30 minutes for the meal prep. Get a little steam facial since we can't go to the spa. We can just do the spa here at home. Same thing when you open the dishwasher, right? You're like, ooh, hey, facial time. Okay. All right, I'm going to let that drain for a sec. Oops, look, I left the burner on. Were you guys like, hey, the burner, or did you not notice? All righty. This is about ready as well, and there is a smidge of water still here. So I'm going to leave this just for another minute, really to let the water, any extra water that doesn't need to be in there, to burn off. So I'm going to let that sit for just another minute. And so the next thing that we're going to do, I'm going to try the other camera one more time, see if it'll behave. Ha! Maybe it just needs a break. So I'm going to show you, this is like my cheater way of doing this. You could absolutely do this in a mixing bowl, but I say save the dishes and just do this. This is going to get mixed with our pizza sauce and marinara. We want half into each tray. We're making 2 meals worth of everything. Oh, another steam bath. So what we're going to do, this is the pizza and pepperoni bake. So part of the ground beef, half of the ground beef that is being browned right now is for these 2 trays. The other half is for the taco soup. So we are going to I like to let the ground beef cool down, so we'll probably mix this ground beef in, and then I'll do the freezer, the baggy trays for that later. I don't like to freeze food when it's super, super warm, although you could put it in the fridge to cool it down. That helps with reducing the risk of freezer burn. I don't usually have trouble with freezer burn because I don't leave my food in the freezer that long, if you will. Okay, so what I'm going to do is turn off this beef. Really fast. And I'm going to spoon half, or I guess it's really a quarter. All right, I'm going to spoon a quarter of it into the sorry, I'm draining off a tiny bit of this liquid. I want a little bit of it, but I don't want all of it. Okay, I'm going to spoon. Okay, let me see if I can, let me move some things. Hang tight. I'm going to try not to kick the camera into another seizure. Okay, I'm going to, let me walk you through this real quick. So this ground beef right here, I drained a little bit of it off, a little bit of that liquid off. To save a little time, I could have let it burn off, but we need to use this. This is 4 pounds, and it's 1 pound for this tray, 1 pound for this tray, and 2 pounds for the taco soup. We're gonna make 2 bags of taco soup. So we need to divide, essentially we need to divide that up. So what I'm gonna do is do a quarter of it into each of these 2 trays, and then I'll set the rest aside to cool down for our bags while we work through the other meals. Then we will finish putting the other ingredients into the pepperoni pizza pasta bake. We will work through that recipe first since I have those trays out here right now. So let me get my paper back. For this one, I mentioned earlier, if you missed it, I could not find pepperonis at the store I went to yesterday. And I didn't get cheese. Actually, you know what? I do have cheese. Rewind. I do have some cheese. We're going to just make do with this cheese that I have. I was going to get the mozzarella, and then I was running out of time, and they had a really long line, so I had to get in the line. Anyways, okay. This will work. I'm going to use a little bit of a white cheddar and a little bit of Parmesan. I'm going to do those since that's what I have here. Again, this is all about improvising and making this work the best. So with the pepperonis, I will just add them in. I'll put them on top of the cheese, and they can kind of cook on top like a pizza. So here we go. I'm just going to mix this right into this pasta in the dish because it's just easier and it saves a mixing bowl. And I'm all about as few dishes as possible, especially right now when we're eating and cooking in the kitchen 3 times a day, plus snacks and whatnot. So all I'm going to do is just kind of mix this in like this. Get another steam facial here. So this is just a pretty typical pasta bake with a pepperoni pizza twist because we're doing, well, actually I'm going to be doing marinara and pizza and tomato sauce. But if you have pizza sauce, do that. So I'm just going to pour this right over the top. I'm adding in a touch of water just to get everything out of this. It's still fairly thick sauce, so I'm not worried about the water being added to the recipe. It's just to get as much out of the jar as I can. Just add like a tablespoon, not even a tablespoon of water, just to get the rest of the sauce to separate from the tray. I also have some crushed tomatoes. These are actually left over from our kids cooking lesson yesterday. improvising some more. Because that's what we got to do when we're social distancing. We got to make it work with what we have. Can I get an amen? Amen. All right, I have another marinara sauce that we can fill in both of these with. If I can get it open. Okay, and then I'm just going to do just what I did with the meat and just kind of mix this all through. I just added like a touch of water. Shake that through. And that'll just kind of incorporate. So let me mix all this together. Alrighty. Shelly's all, amen, sister. Okay. There's quite a bit of delay on today's video. Usually, there's less of a delay. Yes, Brian, this is just the store brand marinara. Let's see, which one was it? Garlic and herb, I think. I usually like the fresh tomato and basil, but they didn't have any when I was there. Okay, so you can see, like, this is the base of our pasta bake, right? You don't even have to add pepperoni to this. I think it would be good just like this. You could just put cheese on top, and then it's ready to be frozen. I am going to set these behind me for just a couple of minutes to let it to continue to cool down. I mentioned a minute ago that I don't like to add things kind of that are too warm straight into the freezer. You want it to cool down quite a bit to reduce the risk of freezer burn. One of the reasons freezer burn happens is if the warm food goes into the freezer and creates like condensation and then the crystals start to form. That's one of the sort of causes, if you will. I would probably add the pepperoni in here. You could also add it on top. That's what I'm going to end up doing later once I can find it at the store. So I'm using the cheese that I have. Oh, there it goes again. So I'm using the cheese that I have, which is just a little Parmesan. Brian, hang in there, buddy. I feel it. I feel like the supply chain is going to kind of balance itself back out. I actually read an article in Texas Monthly last night about how H-E-B prepared in advance. H-E-B is a regional store here in Texas, how they prepared in advance for types of emergencies like this. And I think their supply chain is going to recover pretty quickly. Maybe not for a couple of ingredients, but when I went to the store yesterday, I didn't have too much trouble finding what I needed. I'm just going to go ahead and use the red. This is shredded Parmesan. I'm putting it underneath because it doesn't melt quite as well as like a shredded cheddar or a shredded mozzarella. But it'll be a nice pop of flavor here as well. So let's see. So this is just like this is a white cheddar that I just happened to have because I grabbed the only thing that was at the store the other day. So mozzarella, cheddar will work here. Again, pepperoni's under the cheese or over the cheese. It's kind of depends on what you prefer. Let me try the other camera again. Nope. I do not know why that's happening. I have been using this camera for, maybe it's just because it's getting old. I think like 3 or 4 years I've used this camera. I don't know why it decided this week to just start having seizures. All right. We're almost done here. I'm being a little bit less generous than I would be with the pasta bake just because I only have these 2 bags left. But still going to be delicious. This is going to melt really nicely. I usually do 2 cups per casserole, so it's a good, nice cheese topping. Let me see if I can get this to behave again. Maybe it just needs a little bit of a break. Here's my towel. All right. Let's try that again. So these 2, nope. Yeah, you can sort of see there. I'm so sorry. I'm going to switch my computer angle down. Okay, this is Jotay. So I'm just going to set these over here for just a few minutes before we cover them and put them into the freezer. Okay, and then we are going to move on. I'm just going to go ahead and eat that because that's what we do around here. We're going to move on to our tray meals. I'll probably start with the black bean quesadillas next because that means I don't have to get the chicken out yet. So hang tight. I'm going to put this back over here for a minute. Okay, you guys see this okay? Oh, I don't want this to fall. I'm so sorry. Hang tight. We're improvising on the fly, guys. All right. You can see that okay right there, yeah? Okay. So let's do the black bean quesadillas next, which is black beans into each. And we're actually using 1 can into each bag. So this is going to be what we use because we drained them already. And then we're going to do corn and salsa, a little taco seasoning. Okay. So that's what we need to put these together. You'll see how easy this is. Now you're going to start to see the pasta bakes are a little bit more time intensive. We don't have too many of those. I try to keep them to be really simple like what we just put together. But you'll start to see now how quickly this is going to happen in terms of putting these bags into these meals, into trays. So this is the black bean corn filling that you can make later with quesadillas. So I'm going to use a measuring cup for the beans since I drained them all together. We're using these just like the beef for 4 different meals, so I need to be mindful of that. All right. I'm going to set these over here while we wait for the next. And then the corn, same story. These are for 4 meals too, and I only have 3 cans. So I'm going to be a little extra cautious with this. We're also doing a taco soup, which is using both as well. We could do a little bit more. All right, taco seasoning, I'm gonna do that next. You guys see okay? I'm sorry, I feel like it's as tilted down as I can get the screen here. So this is like a homemade taco seasoning that I have. This is gonna be the last of this jar actually. I'm gonna get the other one I have in the freezer. Hang on. I have a bigger batch that I keep in the freezer. It's going to be frosty because of the glass. So this is can you see how much more full that is? I like to do these in big batches just because we do a lot of taco seasoning meals around here. All right, and last is going to be the salsa. I have the big giant thing, and I thought this guy was going to last longer. Like I said, we do a lot of tacos and Tex-Mex around here. This salsa I think we've had it for a week, maybe 2 weeks now, I guess. So it's not that bad, I guess. So we are also using salsa for the chicken tacos, so I can't use the rest of this, so I need to be a little mindful. But this is going to help give a little pop of more flavor and texture to the quesadilla filling. So both of these, this is now 2 meals worth of the black bean quesadillas. So this is kind of, I like to call these a meal starter. So we're prepping it with all the other things while we're here. And then it's just nice to have an easy, quick option like this one when we're prepping other freezer meals. And then, of course, you're going to make it into quesadillas later, and it is going to be fabulous. So what I'm doing now, let me move it so you can see it a little better. What I'm doing now is, let me move this, make a space for you. What I like to do, I told you I don't leave, did you see that? I made it. Did you see it? I threw a kernel of corn over there. Okay, right into the sink. So my basketball coach would be proud. So what I'm doing here is just like flatten You can't see, I'm so sorry. I'm just like flattening this out. I mentioned we want to save space. So what I'm going to do is flatten this out to remove the air, okay? So this is the filling, right? And then what I'm going to do here, you'll start to see, I'll start to stack them on the counter. I'm going to do the same thing here. Kind of roll it. I'm doing a terrible job of showing. I'm so used to my top camera, I don't usually have to move stuff so much. Roll the air out, okay? And then what you end up having is one layer. We'll put some more meals on top of this in a little bit. Looks pretty, doesn't it? Food is art. So I'm going to leave these just, I guess, right here. And then we'll get started with the chicken meals. We still need to do the other ground beef meals, but I'm letting this cool off a little bit longer, and then we will get to those. So let's set up for our chicken Baja shredded tacos. This is probably my favorite and my kids' favorite shredded chicken taco recipe. It's just got a good, easy, simple ingredients. Again, the green chilies I do not have because I thought I bought some with my big stock up 3 weeks ago, but I didn't. So hang tight. I'm going to have to, I'll add a note to this when we're finished and to add those later. So let me grab the chicken. We're going to need salsa, cumin, and a little bit of brown sugar. If you wanted to use another sweetener, you could. Even I think honey would work, but I just like brown sugar. It's just a little touch to kind of soften it all and bring it all together. So we are going to grab the chicken. So I'm going to do 2 chicken breasts into each bag. These we're going to slow cook later. So we don't need to prepare this chicken in any way. We don't need to cut it up for this recipe. We are going to slow cook it and then shred it at the end of the cooking cycle and then add it into the tacos. So that's what you do there. Let me wash up. If you have any questions, guys, just holler. We are on the meal prep portion of our freezer meal prep session. The first thing that I always do is prepare ingredients, and we've finished that now. And the second thing that I do is prep the recipes. So we're 45 minutes in. We have 2 meals put together, and we should be able to do the last 3 here in just the next 5 or 10 minutes. So a little salsa, 1/3 of a cup of salsa into each bag. Cumin into each one. I know, I like to just toss them in. I've made hundreds, thousands. I've done thousands of these meals, so trust me as I just drop things into bags, okay? But we have measured them out in the past, and you can see those measurements on your plan. All right, the next is we've got the cumin, salsa, brown sugar, and again, you guys, I don't have the green chilies, so if you're cooking alongside me, go ahead and add those now. I will make a note to add them later. And that's that. I promise I'm going to go through the cooking directions here in a little bit. So this chicken, these Baja shredded chicken bags are ready to go. So let me do that same kind of deal. We want to roll and kind of press out any air. If you want to do this in like a food saver sort of scenario, you absolutely could. I usually just do this way because, like I said, we don't leave freezer meals too long in my freezer. So watch what's going to happen. We call this flat freezing. Yay, Anne. Hello, my friend. I'm glad you're here. Anne is a longtime My Freeze Easy member. They're so handy, right? Okay, this is what I mean by flat freezing. So typically what I would do, these two meals are smaller and kind of that meal starter. They don't take up as much space, but what I will typically do, and of course I don't have any here, but I will show you with foil. This is our rental house and I don't even have parchment or wax paper here. It's in a box probably somewhere, but what I typically do is add a piece of wax or parchment paper in between, and the only reason that we do that is to keep these bags from sticking together. The worst thing is bags sticking together in your freezer, and then they like break, and then any liquid or broth, or in this case salsa, starts to leak out, and then you just don't have the right thing to work with. So that's the idea here. And you can see how these are going to not take up too much space when you flat freeze like this, and then put a piece of parchment or wax paper is a better choice. You could use foil, but I would use wax or parchment paper. So that is how these are going to kind of start to stack. You're starting to see that now, okay? So let's see. Next, we are going to do the slow cooker chicken and brown rice. Cardboard in between is a great idea, Shelly. I love that. Fantastic idea. So we have one more chicken meal to do. And this one has, let's see. This one has chicken, minced onion, garlic, lemon juice, and Italian seasoning. So I'm going to have to do a little bit more improvising. You will see. Because we ran out of Italian seasoning on our cooking lesson yesterday, but I have another option I'll show you. So let me drop the chicken in first. This chicken, I want you to pay close attention when I go over the cooking directions for this slow cooker chicken and rice. It's really a fantastic and easy recipe, but it's not your typical just drop in the slow cooker and go away, okay? So I'll walk you through that here in a minute, but I want to get these meals prepped first. All right, I like to get the chicken kind of even on the bottom. Let me wash up real quick. Alrighty. Next, let's do our onion and garlic. I'm going to do minced dried onion. I also don't have minced garlic, so I'm just going to use garlic powder. I'll just do a teaspoon. You should try this sometime. Like, figure out how much is a teaspoon in your hand, in your palm. Like, it's actually a really efficient way to measure things especially when you're doing a lot of meals like this that we're doing here. Okay. Next is going to be chicken stock, and I actually use a bouillon base. So I'm going to also not add that to this bag, and I will make a note. I personally tend to not put so much chicken stock into bags because it just increases the risk for them of tearing, if you will, because there's so much liquid in there that gets frozen and it expands, and then it could tear as you take the bag out of the freezer or whatnot. So the directions do say right here, it does say to add the chicken stock, but I'm going to go ahead and make a note on my I'm going to make a note on my bag that I have not done that, so that I need to do that at the time of cooking. And I'll talk you through that time of cooking here in a little bit. But we do need to add lemon juice and lime juice because that's what I have. This is just to balance out the flavor and add a little bit of acidity with the chicken and with the brown rice that we're going to cook with this later on. And last is going to be Italian seasoning. So we're going to do, I don't have an Italian seasoning blend. I mentioned I used it all up the other day. So I'm going to just do a teaspoon each of the basil, oregano, and thyme. It's kind of my own little easy blend, if you will. We're going to do one each into each bag. And this is also kind of a meal starter. We're going to slow cook this later on with some brown rice and again the broth that I am personally not adding, but you can add it here now if you'd like to. The broth, we would add 4 cups of broth with this, and most of that will be soaked up by the brown rice as it is slow cooking. All right. So this one is done. Hooray. Let's get these folded up. Both of these chicken recipes are the slow cooker chicken recipes, so they're really easy, like you see here, to prep, and then they're really easy to cook on the other side. These do cook differently when we go to slow cook them, because this one we're cooking with brown rice. This one over here, we're just cooking with the ingredients that are in the bag, so we don't have to add anything else to the slow cooker. But you can see, sorry, I'm trying to get this flat here, get these chickens lined up with each other. Again, adding to the pile, not taking up a lot of space here. That's the goal. Save time, save money, save space, save sanity. We're all about that this week, right? Any bit of sanity that we can save as we are being pushed into this social distancing and being at home for the greater good, we want to do what we can right here, freezer meals, to save a little bit of sanity. All right, one more to go. We left this one for last so that the browned ground beef could cool down a little bit. So the ground beef that we have remaining is what is going to go into each of these 2 bags. And then we're going to be done right at an hour, you guys. I told you at the beginning, and I've been a little chatty. We try to do 10 meals in an hour's time. It's something that I have done dozens and dozens and hundreds of times, okay? So I'm just going to this will still be a little bit warm, and that's okay, but I'm going to evenly divide into each of these 2 bags, and this is going to be our taco soup. The directions, I believe, are for stovetop, but you could also do Instant Pot or slow cooker. Either one of those will work. I'm sorry this is so awkward. I'm trying to do this in a way that you can see. Let's see if this guy wants to behave. Sort of. Let's see how long this will last. Sometimes, this is like a really big, wide spoon. Sometimes I'll use like a soup ladle to evenly divide. When I do big bulk ground beefs like this, a soup ladle works really well for evenly dividing up the meat for the different meals that you're making. Oh boy. Try not. There we go. Okay. Put this back here. So this is what's going to be taco soup. So we have our ground beef in there, and we need to add black beans, diced tomatoes, and corn. So we have all of that right here, ready to go. Our black beans are here. We're going to divide the black beans evenly into each bag. I did drain these and rinse them. I'm just going to half and half here. Did I miss that? Did I miss? No, he made it. Okay. I thought I missed the black bean being tossed in there. All right, the corn again. I was missing 1 can of corn, which is fine. This will be plenty. We're going to do half into each meal. Then we are going to do our, this is also a taco seasoning, but you could measure it out individually. The cumin, the chili powder, and the onion powder and garlic powder. But first, I'm going to do this. Since I only have 1 can, actually I'm going to do the diced tomatoes second. I'm going to do half of this tomato sauce into each bag. It's kind of taking the place of the other can of the diced tomatoes. Improvising is the key right now, friends. Okay. Hang on. I don't know. I know I don't like that scraping sound either. Sorry. I just don't want to leave any behind. Okay. Hang on. Sorry. And then we're going to do half of these diced tomatoes. These do have green chilies, which will be a nice complement to this particular taco soup meal. And then we do the seasonings, and then we're done. That's an hour right there, friends. 1 hour, we are done. You could do a tablespoon or 2 of taco seasoning here if you wanted to do that, but I'll just go ahead and measure these out since this is what's on the recipes. Michelle, 100%. Michelle is asking if you can do a make one, freeze one sort of style. You absolutely can do that. The way that our software, if you will, works is that you get 2 meals worth. So 1 recipe makes 2 meals worth. So you could absolutely do sort of that, like you mentioned, the make one, freeze one style. That, yes, you can totally use the plan that way. You would want to just make sure, because of the way the shopping lists work out, you would want to make sure that you use up all the ingredients that particular week, if you will. So you would want to make sure to do this sort of Monday to Friday, making one and freezing one for later. 100%, that is a way that you can do this sort of style. The way that our software works just makes that real easy. I would say the majority of our members do sort of this 8, 10, 12 meals at a time. With our apps, you can choose the recipes that you want to put together. In this case, we chose recipes that were very sort of pantry staple friendly so that you could use kind of what you've already stocked up on. Diced tomatoes, cans of beans, marinara sauce, pasta, things you already had on hand. That way you, could make this work here like this. So, yes, make one, freeze one absolutely works. And so does, kind of what you see here happening where it's kind of 10 at a time. All right, now this meal is perfect, and I'll show you. So this meal is one, because it's a little more full, this is one where I would flatten it all the way out like this. Put that piece of parchment paper in between. And then do this. See what's happening here? Wait for it. Okay, so this is 8 meals that are really not taking up that much space. I'm gonna move them back and show you from the other angle. So this is 8 meals right here, okay? And then these will take up a little bit more room. I am 100% going to be cooking this tomorrow for either lunch or dinner. And then I'll freeze the other one just for the sake of space. But what I typically do with these guys, sorry, hang on. Just got a little meat in the way. What I typically do with these guys when I freeze them is I will freeze them, I'll put a piece of foil over the top, and then I freeze them like this. Hang on a second. Is that better? Not really. I don't know why that's having such a hard time focusing. I'll freeze them like this, where they're kind of sideways from each other. Hang on. Now we get to the teaching part. We're done with the work. I'm going to teach you a few things. I'll freeze them like this, kind of this way. Then once they're frozen, I'll nest them together. They'll take up less space that way. Okay. So recap. We'll start with what we have right in front of us. This is the pepperoni pizza pasta bake. This is ready to go in the oven. If you are cooking this from frozen, you are going to need to add some cooking time to what is on the recipe. I personally prefer to cook these from mostly thawed out. Just saves a little time that the oven is on and whatnot. So you are going to preheat your oven to 350. If it's already been thawed, sorry, this is weird. I feel like I'm talking and you're looking at no one. Okay, I'll just like lean. Maybe I'm gonna get the stool. Let me get a stool. Hang on. Sorry. Haha. Okay, so this is better. So with this pepperoni pasta bake, 350, I would recommend thawing this as much as you can. Overnight is probably not going to be enough because there's a lot of pasta in here. It's probably going to take 2 days to thaw in your fridge. Bake this for 30 minutes because you're just warming it through and wanting the cheese to melt. If you need to cook it from partially frozen, leave it covered, cook it for 30 minutes, then uncover it and cook it for another 20-ish minutes until it's warmed all the way through in the middle. It usually doesn't take longer than double if you cook with the foil on top first and then finish cooking it, warming it through. Because everything in here is already cooked, we don't have to worry about, we just need to warm it all through, okay? So that's these guys. Go back over here for a sec. So I'll cover those and put them into the oven or to the freezer. I think I'm only gonna freeze one of them just for the sake of space. Oy. Oh, that's too far. All right. This is the slow cooker chicken and brown rice. This is gonna slow cook for 3 hours. You are going to put the, make sure I tell you this right, this is a newer recipe. You are going to put the brown rice and the cups of broth that I did not add here into the base of your slow cooker insert. It's the words I'm looking for. So you'll put that in there and then you'll nestle this chicken into the brown rice that is raw, okay? The slow cooker is going to slow cook for 3 hours. The chicken will cook through and the brown rice will cook through and it'll be all nice and lovely together in your slow cooker. One rule about this, typically I say, and you'll hear this rule for this chicken, that you can cook this from frozen as long as you're cooking on low for 8 hours. That will not work. That is not safe with this chicken. So you need to thaw this chicken completely before you slow cook it with the brown rice. Okay, very important rule right there. So this is very thin and will not take long to thaw. Okay, so this shouldn't take very long to thaw. If you need to quick thaw anything, you could put this in a bowl of just room temperature water in your fridge, and in 20 minutes, this will be thawed out. Okay, so if you need a quick thaw, use water, room temperature water, to quickly thaw these before you cook them with your brown rice. Again, completely thaw before cooking with your brown rice. These characters are a different story. This is Baja shredded chicken that we are going to slow cook. You can put this, all these things here together into your slow cooker frozen. Let it cook on low for at least 8 hours. If cooking from frozen, it needs to be at least 8 hours so that it has plenty of time to thaw and cook all the way through. Once it's cooked, shred it into the sauce, strain any extra sauce off, and then serve it in whatever your favorite tortillas or taco shells or whatnot are. So this is the Baja shredded chicken. If you want to thaw this chicken, then you could cook it on high for 4 hours. Ask me how many times I've done that. It's been several. Just forget to take it out. Or I forget to even start the slow cooker in the morning, so I can quickly thaw this in a bowl of water. in the fridge for 20 minutes and then put it into the slow cooker on high. That is an option as well. Typically though, with chicken like this, I will put it in a bowl of water for 2 minutes, just long enough to loosen the bag from the ingredients, and then put it completely frozen into the slow cooker. Cook it on low for 8 hours. So that's the Baja shredded chicken tacos. Quesadillas. Here's what I love about this one is you really don't even, you just have to thaw this, okay? You want to thaw this, you could do it in the same bowl of water just to get this thawed, and then you need to put it into a mixing bowl, mix it all together, and then it'll be ready to assemble the quesadillas with your cheese and your tortillas. So this is really just thaw, get it all up to room temp into a mixing bowl, and then you can prepare your quesadillas that way. Last but not least, and I prefer brown rice for slow cooking rice. Yes, that's my preference. White rice won't take quite as long. It won't take 3 hours, but brown rice, you're looking at about 3 hours on a slow cook. Okay, so this is stovetop taco soup. Can also be cooked in the slow cooker and Instant Pot. I've got a major hack I'm going to share with you here in a second for this one. This is, everything is already here. You just need to thaw it out enough to transfer it into whatever appliance or pot you're cooking it in. So if you're going to cook this in a stove pot, you just want to thaw it out, transfer it to the stove top, put the lid on, let it simmer for however long you want it to simmer, and then you have an easy taco soup. But pretty much everything you need is in this bag. If you want to cook it in the slow cooker, you can do the same thing because, hang on, sorry. Just grabbing a bowl. I can demonstrate this. If you want to cook this in a slow cooker, same story. Put it in a bag of water, enough for the ingredients to thaw and separate from the bag, and then you can transfer it into the slow cooker and then let the slow cooker, it'll just kind of melt into the slow cooker. You can add, I think I'm telling you wrong because you need to add a little bit of broth. Yes, you need to add 2 cups of broth or water when you go to cook this so you can get it into that nice soup consistency. If you are going to cook this in the Instant Pot, my kids are like, you're not done, Mom? I know, I'm teaching you how to do it. If you're going to cook this in an Instant Pot, like you know now, you're going to cook this in an Instant Pot, you are going to want to freeze it in a round shape. Okay, this is a glass bowl. You could use whatever bowl. As long as the bowl is smaller than your slow cooker insert. Okay, because you can't fit a rectangular peg in a square hole. So you are going to want to freeze it in a round shape. The advantage to this is it makes it really easy to start the Instant Pot later when it's time to cook it. All you have to do is thaw it enough to get the ingredients out and you can cook it from frozen. The disadvantage to this is that it takes up a lot more space. Okay, so that's just a quick tip for you about prepping Instant Pot meals. For the freezer is freeze them in a round shape. If you have a deep freezer, you probably won't have a problem with finding space for, if you were doing 2 or 4 or 6 Instant Pot meals at once. Instant Pot meals are just like slow cooker meals. They're super fantastic and easy to work with from freezer to Instant Pot because especially if you freeze them in a round shape, you just dump all the ingredients frozen, turn it on. It will defrost everything as it's coming to pressure, and then it will cook through on the electric pressure cooking cycle. So that is really handy. If you haven't yet, download this. I have it for you for free. This is like a free trial of how all this works. We just went through the entire prep session here where we prepped all the ingredients for these meals, and then we prepped all of the meals together. So that's how we have this broken down for you. You can see this is like the table of contents. These are the 5 recipes that we made. It has the different shopping lists available for you, depending on what you need shopping list wise. And then of course, the bottom, we also include the instructions for getting the ingredients prepped like we did here today, as well as getting all of the meals prepped like we did here today. So if you have any other questions about these, you can reply to any of our emails that we send you. If you download this and you get going and you have questions, just reply. We are around a lot. We also have a great Facebook group you can join. In all the Freezer Cooking Fun, we love seeing all the meals that you put together and the meals that you make. We love seeing all that too. So that's that. This is our social distancing freezer meal plan, and we're doing this because this is tough. Cooking at home every day, 3 times a day, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. It is A-L-O-T. And we think that freezer meals will help alleviate that sort of feeling of needing to cook again, because we've already kind of done the work here. Really all we're doing now is just reheating, letting the slow cooker cook, letting the Instant Pot cook, letting the soup simmer on the stove, right? We're just gonna, it doesn't feel like cooking when we've already done the prep work like this. So if you can give me an hour of your time to put together 10 meals like this, you will save yourself a whole lot of time, a whole lot of sanity, which we really need to hold on to right now with this particular style of freezer cooking. So holler if you have any questions. We are here for you through all of this, and happy freezer meal prepping. I'm a huge fan. I hope you're a huge fan now too, and I hope this was helpful in teaching you how this works specifically and how they can help you through this tough season of social distancing. Friend, have a great rest of your Saturday, and we will see you again soon.